Welcome back. Well, the flood of people crossing into Egypt threatens to change the very face of the Gaza Strip. It's giving Cairo and Tel Aviv a headache as they fumble about what to do next. One possible outcome of the crisis is that Egypt may assume a greater responsibility of the Gaza Strip. With the territory largely cut off from Israel, Cairo may decide to integrate Gaza into its own networks, such as its electricity grid. It may also, on occasion, act as a safety valve, allowing Gazans to travel into Egypt in the event of future crises. For its part, Israel is furious that Egypt is not enforcing border controls with Gaza. Tel Aviv is threatening to set the Gaza Strip adrift and completely seal the border with Israel. We're still joined by our guests in Cairo, Hossam Zaki, in Gaza City, Ahmed Youssef, and in Jerusalem, Gil Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman, will Israel now target Egypt? Will it point the finger at it when more rockets from Gaza are fired into southern Israel, for example?
There's no doubt that Israelis are very upset with Egypt for not undertaking its commitments that they made both to Israel and to the President of the United States, George Bush, to do a better job in making sure that no missiles, no weapons at all make their way across the border from Egypt into Israel. They're really supposed to be patrolling that border. A lot of Israelis, when we withdrew from every inch of the Gaza Strip, wanted to maintain control over the border in order to make sure that the Gaza Strip doesn't get even more full of weapons than it was already. But the Egyptians at the time said, no, it's not a problem, they'll take care of it. And they haven't taken care of it. And that's perhaps one of the reasons why the Israeli Foreign Ministry spoke today about perhaps allowing Egypt more control and authority over the Gaza Strip, taking responsibilities away from Israel.
What other overtures do you think Israel will make towards Egypt to try and placate the situation?
Israel has done everything possible to convince the Egyptians that this is a responsibility that is in their own best interests. You know, they have a border with the Gaza Strip, and they themselves are threatened by Islamic fundamentalism there in Egypt, and allowing the terrorists to have more weapons and to have more power isn't in the interest of the Mubarak government. And that message has been sent constantly by people of all levels of authority from Israel to Egypt. It just really hasn't worked.
Mr. Zaki, earlier on you said relinquishing control really wasn't in Egypt's best interest. So what do you think Egypt will now be doing towards Israel to try and defrost the situation?
Ma'am, let me say, if the Israelis start putting their will and action into peace as well as they speak, I think that would be better for everybody. Egypt does what it does in order to control its borders and in order to ensure that security within its own border is ensured. We are not interested in spreading accusations right, left, and center. What we are doing in terms of security control for the borders is unprecedented as far as we're concerned, for as long as the Israeli forces have been occupying the Gaza Strip for 40 years. They have been in this strip, and the tunnels have existed, and the smuggling have been there, and nobody was able to stop it. Now suddenly, overnight, people want that Egypt stops it on its own and just in a very short period of time. This is not going to happen. What we are doing is essential, and we are doing even better than we used to do. And we continue to do better to ensure our own security and to ensure for everybody a calm situation that will enable peace to go forward. This is what we are interested in.
What sort of help are you expecting from Hamas? I mean, there's a lot of talk that this could never have happened without the collusion between the Egyptian authorities and Hamas. So where does this leave your relationship now, Mr. Youssef?
Regarding Egypt, I do believe that we are in a good friend, we are good brothers, and I don't think that any of us having the intention to worsen the relation with Egypt. I do believe that the Egyptian, we honoring what all they have done to the Palestinian people, and the problem is with the Israelis. The Israelis, with their daily incursion and killing and targeting the Palestinian people, we have to defend ourselves.
Excuse me interrupting here. Let's talk about the Palestinian people. I mean, there's little evidence from either Fatah or Hamas that you've been doing anything to better their lot. Isn't it time now to start talking about unity between the two of you?
I do believe that that we already paved the foundation for reconciliation. The rifts, the language that the Prime Minister and the President Abbas were speaking yesterday, it's very laying the foundation for something to reconcile the rift. I do believe that in the next few days, maybe next few weeks, we will come to talk to each other and try to strengthening our unity and working hand in hand to solve the problem. And the moment that we start talking to each other, I do believe we will be able to handle the issue of crossing with Egypt, and with the good intention from our brothers in Egypt to mediate the situation between Fatah and Hamas. I think we will be able to handle the rest of the issues. It's just not going to start with crossing with Egypt. If we come together to find a solution for that, the rest of the issue will be easy to be handled.
Okay, let's try and find a solution for this border crossing, Mr. Zaki. Do you think Egypt is prepared to play the role of allowing some sort of safety valve to happen? So whenever the situation gets increasingly dire, or dire as we have seen in the past as Israel clamps down on Gaza, that Egypt will open its border or allow the border to be crossed?
No, this is I'm sorry, this is the wrong premises for a question. What we are ready to do is not to open a safety valve on our borders, so as when there is a crisis like this, we are ready to absorb it so it doesn't really erupt in bad security terms.
Okay, what is the bigger issue then?
And we said, now, the issue is to get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is how to address a situation where you have a conflict of this sort, you have occupation, and you need to have a viable peace process that addresses everything at the same time, as we have launched in Annapolis. And we need to nurture this peace process, we need to preserve it, and we need to push it forward with all the goodwill, not only the goodwill, but with the good actions that are needed. The good actions include many things. The good actions include that the Israelis stop building settlements, for instance, in the West Bank. The good actions means that Hamas stops launching rockets. This is something that we have said repeatedly that they should not do, because it is really of no use to anybody. And the goodwill is that the Palestinian Authority rebuilds its own capabilities and capacities so as to take over security in its own territories. This is what is needed to do. This is the root problem. The root problem is the occupation, and we need to end this occupation through this viable peace process.
And
not
of course,
to
excuse me interjecting here,
or a safety valve.
If I could bring Mr. Hoffman in here. I mean, one of the promises by Israel was to allow fuel to go through. The EU pays Israel $10 million a month to provide fuel for Gaza. Shouldn't Israel respect that commitment?
And over the last 3 days, Israel has been supplying fuel to the Gaza Strip.
The last 3 days?
Fuel specifically yes, over the last few days, specifically to hospitals and to other institutions in order to meet the humanitarian needs of the people in the Gaza Strip.
Mr. Youssef, do you believe that there is the political will at the moment to try and resolve this problem?
Yes, I do believe there is many solutions if the Israeli really serious about achieving peace and reach a peaceful settlement with the Palestinian, by try to really to create a political horizon, not to try to negate and isolate the Palestinian people and make their life like a hell. There is a way. If there is a political horizon, if they are serious about negotiating with the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah, if they're gonna really giving the Palestinian the confidence, they are going to address the real issue, and after half a year, they're gonna be really the Israeli withdraw and ending their occupation. But unfortunately, we see all the time that Israeli talking peace, but they never practicing peace. Actually, every day they are expanding the settlement and keep building the apartheid wall, and they have the aggression every day against attacking the Palestinian cities
and I'm going to have to stop it there because we come to the end of the program. I'm very sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Yusuf. Excuse me interrupting. So thank you, Mr. Yusuf, Mr. Zaki and Mr. Hoffman. And thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Inside Story. Bye-bye.